To order. Could you take the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Herman Robinson. The commission needs to unmute themselves.
How to do it. We're good?
Okay, Vice Mayor Robinson,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes.
Here.
Okay, we're going to start tonight with Commissioner Stokes leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And tonight we just have one item on the agenda, which is the narrowing down of the city manager candidates. And I believe I'm going to turn the meeting over to either Juan Ruz or where is Mr. Colin Basinger?
Hey, Madam Mayor. It's good to see you both in the Zoom world, right?
Welcome to our world right now.
Colin should be joining us, but again, I can help, kind of lead this conversation if need be, but really this meeting was called at the request of everyone to kind of, go through a shortlist conversation or a conversation about shortlisting city manager candidates for the next phase.
Right.
So really, it's kind of an open forum. There's no roadmap.
Colin is calling me right now.
Okay.
Yes, Colin, what's up?
Hi, Madam Mayor and City Manager. I keep
He's
promoting.
on now.
Oh, there he is. There you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So now we have Colin, obviously our recruiter for the selection. And also we also have Lauren Sladen, our HR director, who is on the line. And again, Colin, I'll defer to you. This is kind of your realm on how you seem
Sure.
best fit to for the commission to kind of go forward with this conversation.
Sure. Well, I apologize. I was on as a participant initially, and so I couldn't. Anyway, what we like to do, and I think everybody's aware of it, is we like each commissioner to pick their top 5 candidates. That may not be 5. You may not have 5 you like, or you may have 6 you like, or 7. But tell us who you would like to interview. And then I have a spreadsheet that I put together that I will display on the screen. And then we can discuss the candidates that have received votes or preferences and decide how to proceed. And I have an indication from Commissioner Maliga, Commissioner McVoy, and Commissioner Stokes. I mean, I have votes from them, and I can throw that up now, or we can wait until Mayor Resch and Commissioner Robinson have given me their preferences. I would suggest you just read them out over the, and I'll just record them.
Sure. Commissioner Robinson, why don't you go?
I have Willie Hopkins, number 1, Tom Huta, number 2, Greg Link, number 3, Carmen Davis, number 4, and Ramon Triaz, number 5.
Okay. I have Jane Shang is number 1. Len Sussman is number 2. Thaddeus Cohn is number 3. Carmen Davis is number 4. And that's my list.
Okay, let me share this.
I don't know where that leaves us. Yeah.
You'll see in a moment.
All righty.
It's better than I thought. Now, wait a minute. Let's make sure I've got the right, for some reason. 1, 2, 1. This is the one. Okay. Make sure if everyone would just check the numbers I'm showing there.
You're starting.
Make sure that I actually recorded your votes correctly.
No.
Okay.
I have Shrang, Davis, Cohen, and
Oh.
Sussman.
Ryan
Yes.
Davis, not Hutka.
Correct. Sossaman
Wait a minute.
and,
I'm messing things up now.
okay, take your time.
I just messed up McVoy. Okay. You had Cone, Davis, Sossaman, and Shang.
Correct.
And Commissioner McVoy, I'm sorry, I just messed yours up. You had Trias, Jordan, Hutka, and Cone. So not Davis. So if everyone again, please check that.
Colin, I also had on there Chris Rose.
Chris Rose, he's accepted a job with Pinellas County,
Okay, thank you.
so he's not available anymore. I'm sorry, I thought I sent an email, but perhaps not.
It's okay.
All right, so if we were to look at this, let's see, we've got several that have 3 or 4 votes. And I would suggest those would be your finalists. And then the question would be, is there anyone that you would like to move up so that you have 5 finalists? Or do you just want to go with those 4? Or do you want to have discussion and argue for or against some of these?
Apparently, I'm in the minority.
Right behind me,
What?
right behind me, I'm,
No, I think I would be. I was the only one, I have 4, and I only picked
You're
2.
gonna have to sum this.
So,
So-
go ahead.
So it looks like Cohen, Davis, Hutka, and Trias would be the 4. Top.
4. And then does anybody want to discuss Patrick Jordan or Willie Hopkins? Because they both got 2
I do.
as a potential fit. I mean, that seems like the next logical.
You're so logical. I love it. Thank you for always being so
I don't
logical.
know.
Yeah, so where do we want to start? Madam Mayor, you tell us how you want us to do this.
That I chose Willie Hopkins because he seemed more of a manager in terms of production, managing people to do a project or a task, which is more what I'm looking for, honestly, than a city manager or an academic strong candidate in terms of planning or in terms of education. But management is really what I'm focused on in relationship with departments and the community. And
And Mr. Hopkins does have, I could add him to my list, Mr. Hopkins. He does have Florida. I was looking a lot for, Florida experience, overall general management experience. And what I liked about Mr. Cohen was 2 things that stuck out to me, and he's actually on the list, so that's good. But I could work with Mr., I could add Mr. Hopkins. He's currently, let me just lost my page.
Administrative Services Director, I believe, for the city of Oakland. Is that right? I'm doing that off the top of my head.
are we gonna just do lights or how are we gonna just blurt in?
As far as how to
Yeah,
make our voices heard, can the mayor see our lights?
and I'm challenged for interrupting, so.
I can't.
You can, do you want your?
Well, I would like to just say that Mr. Cohen's resume indicated a lot of political positions that were gained politically. And that sort of had its pros and cons. If we're, this is going to be brutally honest here. I hope, that we're on.
No, absolutely. And I respect that you are being brutally honest.
Sure.
And I mean, I know that, most people are probably listening, especially the candidates, to hear what we're saying. And I would hope that they would be listening and paying attention. But no, I appreciate your honesty.
I like the fact with Mr. Cohen that he has these Florida, Collier County experience. Plus he was in Key West, which is a historical. Plus he has a strong affordable housing background and interest and experience as a city manager, which I think is important today. I liked Ms. Shang, and I'm disappointed that nobody else did. I thought she had a very strong background. She has been, government city. She's been she's currently city manager until she ran into some apparently political things, which I certainly can sympathize, having gone through that myself 20 years ago. She was in charge of large projects, which I thought was a, managerial thing, and was from El Paso, Texas, which is a large town with a lot of issues. So, but I can certainly, Mr. Hopkins is currently in California, and I would be happy to add him. You already did that, Colin. Okay, great. So I don't, how do you want to handle it? Do you want to just go forward with the ones that with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are now up in, and just start the process of the interviews, or do you want to discuss this more? Because I think we're going to have a lot of opportunities after we do the interviews and a little more depth conversations to have more of a in-depth conversation about the pros and cons of each one. And my understanding, and I'm a little out of it because I have been sick and COVIDed for a long time and sort of out of the loop. My understanding was tonight we were just going to narrow the list down and to see where we're going with it. But that's your pleasure. I'm a little out of, it's a little hard being a little out of touch.
Well, I can share two things, I guess. As far as Mr. Hopkins, I did receive a fair amount of input from members of the city. And one of them from somebody was that Mr. Hopkins was making 205,000 somewhere or other. I don't know. I didn't follow it up, but there was a concern that was probably going to be kind of. Oh, wait a minute, I'm reading the wrong one, right? No, 250. Somebody else was making 205, 250,
Well,
and at the same time let his house and his homeowners association default. So there was a concern about.
So how does he have excellent credit then?
How good, poor credit, and how good their financial skills were. I don't know. I didn't find Mr. Hopkins to be very strong for the things that I would be looking for the city. If I was looking for a fifth, I would probably suggest Mr. Jordan, who had dealt with a number of interesting communities, at least, has not dealt with Florida, which is a downside, but he also took on statewide an interesting challenge of a tax issue where big box stores were seeking to be taxed as if they were empty, which deprives a lot of counties and communities of income. And Mr. Jordan organized a statewide effort and fundraising to legally challenge that. I don't know how it came out, but I thought that was pretty interesting for a manager to take on a real issue that has economic implications for not only his own city, but many others.
I would like to opine on Mr. Hopkins' salary. He's living in Alameda County, California, which is essentially San Francisco area. So when I looked at the salary, I was not surprised that it was high because, of course, the cost of living out there is astronomical. And I think that Mr. Mazinger, was our salary range advertised as part of the, the request?
Yes, it was. And I'm just I'm gonna pull up the brochure and I'll tell you.
It says the salary range is 160,000 to 205,000.
Right.
The salary will depend on qualifications and expertise. Benefits are very good. Currently, the city pays 10% of the city's manager's salary into a 401.
Right. So, I mean, he's aware of this, it sounds like he wants to come back to Florida. And again, Alameda County is a crazy expensive place to live, just saying.
Yeah, and I just so you know, I did talk to him about that, and he's well aware of the salary range, and you're quite correct. When you compare the cost of living, you may think it's expensive in Lake Worth, but compared to Alameda County, it's quite reasonable.
Yeah.
The other thing I would just say about credit is that sometimes when you're married, credit suffers, even though you can be completely responsible. And I think that was the problem in his case, but it's certainly something you can follow up with when you interview, if you decide to interview.
Madam Mayor, may I? It's
Sure,
Commissioner.
of course. Thank you. Yep.
Couple things. I see overwhelming support for Carmen Davis and for somebody who lived in Detroit when she worked in Detroit. I have some concerns on the fact that she worked under the Kwame Kilpatrick regimen, I should say. And if any of you know anything about Kwame Kilpatrick and what happened with the city of Detroit, if you don't, I would do your research in regards to that. In August of last year, she was also offered a job by Hendersonville of a salary of $143,000 plus $20,000 in moving expenses and a city-owned car, and she declined that offer.
Do we know why?
We don't know why. She had accepted the job and then declined it 2 weeks later. She also had, she was voted out of her current position with Mississippi and Hinds County after being there for 10 years, which gives me a little skepticism, which is why I didn't recommend her or put her on my short list, because I did a lot of research. And I have my, relationships obviously with Michigan and knowing what happened in the political world there, and being that she was in the planning and zoning department as a city planner during that era. I just would like you all, before you bring her forward, to do more research in regards to what happened back then. And my bigger concern is the fact that she was just offered all this money and just turned it down a year ago. I mean, to me, that was a pretty good offer. It might not meet her needs. In regards to Mr. Thomas Hudka, is that what I'm saying? He just turned down $150,000 in April 2021 from Frankfurt. He's also from an area which I literally grew up right outside of, Port Huron, Michigan, which is high crime, has a mixed ratio of maybe 80-20 wealthy versus in poverty. But I think that he would have good opportunity to bring some hindsight to our city, just because I know the mixed demographic of the city of Port Huron and the challenges that it had, especially with people wanting to invest there. It was a very blighted neighborhood, especially when he came into play. So that was my input on that one. And Mr. Cohen, what's that?
Repeat the things that you wanted us to look into about Carmen.
She worked under Kwame Kilpatrick. He was the mayor in Detroit when she worked there. And there were some not so pleasant things that happened in Detroit with people on payroll that shouldn't have been, and plans being approved that shouldn't have been approved and things like that.
But,
And
but we don't know if she was involved,
I understand, but I also, like I said, she was offered a pretty nice package to go somewhere else not long ago. And my only concern about Mr. Cohen is that he literally stays in each position 3 to 4 years and then leaves. And I personally don't want to be that person if I decide to run again, who has to do this in 4 years again, because we were a good stepping stone to get to another city. That's all.
Just in regards to Thaddeus Cohen, I spoke to him, 15 years ago in regards to the memorial for Dr. Martin Luther King, and didn't get any response. And in regards to Mr. Hopkins and the competitive employment market where he is, says something for competition and his job versus all of competition.
What are your thoughts, Ms. Stokes? I see you have lots of little Post-it.
Oh, I do. I actually, well, so for me, 4 of the 5 people that I was interested in are there, so I didn't feel like I needed to. I wanted to hear what was intriguing about Mr. Hopkins from, or no, not him, about Patrick Jordan from you and Mr. McVoy. More than that, I did have, so for some of these, I did also, like Mr. Hopkins, who I think I added one for. I said he has a lot of promise, but he also looked like he moved around a lot. So I just think maybe the nature of some of these jobs is such that, you know, like I think Mr. Basinger told us before, sometimes, you know, when you're hired by an elected body, as that body transitions, sometimes you transition in
Right.
and out with them. So, you know, I'm interested to interview these people and find out more and ask them the kinds of questions that are coming up here, because they'll be able to tell me a lot more than this piece of paper can. So I'm interested to hear what was so intriguing about Patrick Jordan. And
Well, what I liked about Patrick Jordan, number one, Escanaba, Michigan is nowhere near like anywhere, like this is
He's way
Michigan, he's here. He's like way, way over here where it's really, really, really frigid. So I understand why he wants to move to Florida. But I like the fact that they have he's done electric utility, water, sewer. I like the fact that he's worked with a 5-member council. The only thing I didn't like about something he did is in October of 2019, he resigned from Escanaba, took a job in Florida. Seems he used it as a bargaining tool to get a $25,000 increase. And then went on the record to say, I decided that now's not the time to go to Florida. I'm going to stay here and finish my, you know, see some things through. Although he had family and friends in Florida. So that was my only thing that I was like, I kind of didn't like the fact that he took a job in Florida, got the contract and then renegotiated with Escanaba. I mean, I just kind of seemed a little put off by that, but I did like the whole basis of everything else as far as everything else that I could read and find on him. Like you said, it's paper and articles that you try to do the research through.
Yeah, I thought that was a little sketchy myself.
I'm looking forward to talking to Ramon Trias. You know, I wonder whether he would have applied if he hadn't been encouraged. But his interest in Lake Worth intrigues me, and I have no idea how he'll present in terms of management. I know
He has no experience. I mean, he's got, you know, I've heard him speak. He's very brilliant. He is, a planner. He's very well respected in that community. But he's got, I don't think we should be essentially, I don't think we can afford to start training a city manager. It's a very technical job. And that was, my hesitation for a different position perhaps, but my hesitation and why I did not go for him. And, certainly we'll talk to him if he's one of these people that are interviewed, but I wanted to see more experience in an administrative role. He's an assistant planner in a very beautiful, very wealthy city.
I agree with you as well. I also have the mindset that people have to start somewhere, right? So
And
I did not cave to the pressures of the 17,000 emails that I received, just for the record. I did like the fact that he has been in Lake Worth. He knows the area he's in now is flourishing compared to 20 years ago. But my concern also is budget, pensions, bond
Yeah.
ratings, financials. I mean, we do have amazing staff, right? But I just think that that's a lot of education for somebody. That's all.
if I might comment on that, he did do a PhD in public administration, so he certainly has dealt with all of the aspects of of public administration, which certainly includes public finance and bonds and keeping budgets and all that stuff. In addition, for a number of years, he had his own firm that managed quite large projects, and he managed that. And I think it's a little bit not quite accurate to say that he's an assistant planner. He is responsible for Coral Gables planning and zoning code. The whole nine works of it is my understanding. So he is quite knowledgeable about things. If you're familiar with Miracle Mile in Miami and Coral Gables, there's some pretty interesting projects that he's done. I think he comes extremely highly recommended, including for his ability to work with people humbly and make consensus, as well as obviously a lot of expertise. So, so I'm very much looking forward to hearing from him and see.
His doctorate though is in public affairs. It's
No, not public
I'm
affairs.
reading it. PhD in public affairs.
Well, public affairs, public administration.
No, that's two, I mean, that's,
Two different things.
yeah. I mean, it says PhD in public affairs, with public policy and administration, being part of it, but that is my only concern is where's the financial aspect wheelhouse come into play? I mean, yes, we have Juan who's going to be obviously guiding and helping, but I'm interested to hear what the gentleman has to say.
And the academics, I'm not knocking academics, but the really the human relationship, the personality of a person can make a huge difference, regardless of their resume and their education. The ability to connect with Lake Worth Beach and its personality and its character is the first criteria for me. The technology of the electric and the public works is, I'm going to say, secondary, because we have department heads. This guy is going to, or person, female person is going to work with the department heads. They're not going to be the department head.
I agree with that. And then I did notice also with Ramon Trias that he's had director roles outside of his current position. Director of planning for Fort Pierce and director of development. So I mean, I think it says something about it. To me, it seems like he's going to where it's not the job title that's necessarily driving him, but like he's going to where he sees potential and can really bring his expertise to make a difference. And something that we're on the verge of right now, as we're seeing a boom in the development of Lake Worth, is trying to find that balance between developing and maintaining our character. And so I think he could be an interesting person that might be able to really guide us along that journey. And a lot of that is brings in the economics. And so I'm sure in all of his experience in development, he's been thinking about economics.
If you've ever been to Fort Pierce, which he was instrumental in their downtown, you'll see that it looks quite unusual for Florida. You'll also see that it's not a wealthy community.
Mhm.
And my sense is that he was able to turn it around quite a bit in that community. He also, I think some people are aware that our downtown and the fact that we have outdoor seating for the restaurants is largely courtesy of him in 1992 when he worked with our city. And I didn't get here till a little later than that, but from people who were here, they said the transformation was quite remarkable.
It was tumbleweeds before.
That would be a transformation.
Can we get down to
tumbleweeds?
Do we want to start, I hate to say eliminating, but is there somebody that really doesn't reach a consensus?
I think we have 5.
What are your 5?
They're in yellow.
I'm sorry.
They're in yellow.
In yellow on the total on the right hand column.
I see 4, 5. Good. That's it. We're done.
So I have a question though. If we go through this process and we interview and none of us can come to a consensus, or we just feel like we're missing the mark, is our plan, Mayor, to have Colin go back out and possibly get us some new representation that hasn't applied to 17 other cities before?
We haven't discussed that.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Well, I mean, it's not, I mean, what do you all think? I mean,
We'll have to discuss that afterwards.
I was gonna say.
right, I'd rather address it if that happens. I'm sort of across that bridge if we come to it.
Mhm,
I'd like to be positive on these 5.
Me too.
I think so too. And maybe it relates to a little bit, to follow up a little bit on what Commissioner Stokes said. She's thinking a similar direction. I see our city as being very much at a crossroads, that this is our first big decision, the really big decision, picking a city manager. Our next one, as we look back over how we've struggled with development that's come in, and we've said, look, we're not really sure that our code expresses what a cross-section of the community really wants us to look like. I think our next big struggle is dealing with our zoning and, the whole 9 yards, LDRs and master plans and zoning and the whole works. And doing that in a way that brings the community together, that recognizes our economic challenges, that recognizes our unusual nature, both urban planning wise and socially in a lot of different ways, historically. And somebody who can help build consensus in the community and then turn whatever consensus we can come up with into code, such that the code becomes clear to developers, and the developer looks at it and says, cool, this community knows what it wants to be. I'm interested in doing that. And if I do this, I know that I have a lot of support because the community was very strongly involved in building that code. And I think somebody with some gravitas and experience and knowledge of the code and of the economic aspects can do that. That's my reason why Mr. Trias is of a lot of interest to me. The nuts and bolts of daily management of the city, yes, that's obviously important. I think he would be more than capable enough to do that. I think probably, all of the people up there would be. Some of them will help guide us into the future. Some of them won't have the knowledge or expertise to do that. That's my take on it. And
That's also our job I think our job is to set that, this strategic plan.
Yes, thank you. I was just gonna say the same thing.
I think that I hear you, Mayor, and I see some nodding all around, and it is obviously our job to set direction and policy. I think there's a big chunk between that and actually getting it into our code. You don't want me writing zoning code. I can guarantee that. That would be a big mess. So I think, yes, we guide, but with somebody who has some of the expertise to carry that forward, and the consensus building, because that's something he has done in other communities, in many other communities and international.
My concern is that when you say the community, that it's very well known that there's a driving force of 15 people, or maybe a little more in this city right now, who is pushing it back against everything that we have had before us. Every opportunity for investment that we, again, are just cleaning up the remnants. We weren't in charge of the projects and the guidelines they get to come in and under. So I know that personally, I want to keep in my mindset that as an elected person, I was elected to do the job that's best for the entire city. Not the job or the person, pick their person that a select few want me to pick because that's what they want. Or there's certain people in the community who feel that this person, I need to remind myself as I'm going through, it's 36 applicants, who's best going to serve the entire community as a whole, which is why I picked Brian, because he stayed in one city for 20 years. When I talked to his HR director and I called and did conversations, the first thing everybody said is he cares about family. He cares about staff, and that was my concern is, what kind of manager was he? And I don't care about that. I mean, honestly, he literally, the two people that I talked to, and they just actually answered the phone. It was kind of weird. They had nothing but positive things to say about his leadership and the fact that he has ran an electric utility, which is why I chose him, but nobody else did, which now I can understand from looking at the people you guys chose. And I say you people, that the current dais, is that this guy was a strong candidate who would represent the entire city, in my opinion, as an elected official. But again, I feel that lately there's been a lot of pressure from somebody standing here and threatening the people who were elected on the board. I got you elected. I'm not going to be controlled by those emails and those phone calls. I'm going to pick the best candidate for this city.
I think we're all capable of doing that.
I didn't say we weren't.
But it's it's a challenge to, I think we're being affected by the experience of a strong leader as city manager before. And the commission seemed to take that leadership versus give the leadership.
Correct. You're right. And we're feeling the ramifications of that now. Instead of people trusting us as electeds, like you voted on us, trust our judgment. Yes, we want input, but I almost feel like in the last week, I have been fed with a backhoe on you need to vote for.
Well,
And that's, it's uncalled for. Some of the stuff that people are saying, I just think, giving us your opinion is one thing, but being forceful about it, I'm hoping that there wasn't a big persuasion and that we're just going with who we think we owe something to when we hire the CM. And I want that to be very known.
And I'd like to add, last Thursday was a very interesting meeting for us. The support for the project was, I think, overwhelming. We heard from a large segment of the community who want the city to move forward. And I agree with Ms. Malega. I think that whoever's going to be the city manager is going to have to learn to work with our quirky little city, the five of us, the very we've got a lot going on. We've got a golf course, we've got a beach, we've got an electric, we've got stormwater, we've got our own water. So I think that we need, in my opinion, and I certainly could change that, we need someone that has a strong administrative background. I'm all for PhDs, but when I don't remember when Mr. Treas got that PhD, and I don't know that he's actually used it. He's been focused as a planner, and I'm sure he's very well respected as a planner. I was actually here when the downtown was being done, and it was at that time in the history of Florida, there was a lot of that downtown. We've got to open it up. We've got to make the sidewalks, make them prettier, get the paving blocks in, and make, having outside dining. It wasn't that revolutionary of an idea. I just have to be honest. And we ended up, frankly, it's nicer than it was, but there's not a canopy of trees covering, it's fine, but I don't think it was a revolutionary concept. I was here and it was, I helped work on the agreements with the Department of Transportation on widening the sidewalks. And there was nothing dramatic about the design.
He got his PhD in 2019, so 2 years ago.
Okay.
It's 14 to 19, I guess it's 5-year program to get your PhD.
So whenever.
Yeah. So, Mr. Hutka does have, he's currently in Port Huron. He has public works in Broward County experience. And one of the things I looked for also is, Florida hurricanes, that sort of thing. And if, as a director of public works, he's got some experience with that. And with Osceola County, he was there for a few years, and he did talk about, he was involved with land planning and financial planning, and so I'm perfectly happy to interview him as well.
Madam Mayor, he was in Port Huron from 2001 to 6. Where is he? Does anyone know where he's now? Because it says in 2020, director
Right.
of
don't know, went backwards. Somebody's
Well, he-
timeline went backwards.
Yeah, he,
Right.
I couldn't figure out where he was though.
Well, up until apparently 2020, he was a director of public works. I don't know. Mr. Bazinju, do you know where he is now?
He's currently seeking employment. He's in transition between
Okay.
jobs.
He also was up in Minneapolis, which is a large city, diverse city, although you may not think of it as such. And, had some good experience there. So, and he had a bond, so I don't know. I mean, I think, as far as I'm concerned, we have 5 people. And I would, my thought would be, let's take the 5 that we've got and see where we are.
I agree. And can I just respond to something briefly?
Sure, of course.
I agree with you, Commissioner Malega, that we are all going to make our own decisions, what we think is best for the community. I'm excited to interview all of these people and figure it out. Just like I wouldn't want to pick a candidate because they are being strongly advocated for by a group of people. I wouldn't want to not pick a candidate for that reason also.
Correct, which is why I chose him.
Right.
Right.
So I just want to make it clear that, we're all independent, strong thinkers up here. And
Really?
I trust our judgment as we move forward through this process, and we value community input, but at the end of the day, it's us 5 that are going to have to make these decisions as we learn more.
Absolutely.
No, my feelings about Mr. Trias, it's not in opposition to the lot of, input that we've had. I just don't think I think if we were looking for a director of planning, if we were looking for some other position, he would be brilliant. But I just don't know for city manager that is, but I'll absolutely talk to him and give him the fair shake I would give to anybody.
And that's why I chose Willie Hopkins.
Sure.
Because of his, I'm going to say face-to-face management with people,
Right.
getting jobs done, doing a task.
Yep.
This job is so much more about personalities and relationships than it is about your direct knowledge of electricity or public works. Or
I think they're certainly equally important. Having someone that can get along with people is very nice, but if they,
I'm not saying get along, I'm saying get the job done.
well, yeah.
That's- Which I think Mr. Hopkins has proven that through his career.
Sure. Yep.
Onward.
Yeah,
So what's,
And I would like to say that yes, I hear Commissioner Malega's concern that maybe she feels like a small number of people are being vocal. I heard from quite a range of people, and I heard a range of things, and I solicited input from people publicly. I'm happy to receive it, and certainly would not want to put the feeling out there that I don't want to hear from people. I would like to hear from as many different kinds of people and different viewpoints as possible, but the fact that I had a number of people did support Mr. Trias, that doesn't in any way make me concerned about it. I'll take it under advisement along with all the other input that I get.
but Carmen Davis was a planner as well.
and has other experience.
Yes.
I think we kid ourselves if we do not look squarely at the challenges that we've all faced. We've said that we are very committed to affordable housing. We've said that we are aware that Lake Worth has different attributes from a number of other cities. I've heard from any number of people in the community that we would like Lake Worth to be a bit different than it is now, maybe a little bit more like Delray. And in the same breath, I hear people saying, but don't turn us into Delray. And I think that, and I've heard from people in Delray that they felt concerned that they were on a similar trajectory that we're maybe at the beginning of, and are not happy with the end result. I think the challenge of putting us on the map as a leading city that really consciously decides what it wants to be economically, urban planning wise, otherwise, is going to take somebody with a lot of breadth and knowledge and experience to do that, to help us do that. We'll provide the direction, but I think we need some help with it. And I think all indications are development pressure is certainly not going away. Let's use it to unite our community in ways that grow us economically whilst growing us as Lake Worth.
But also,
That's
you know,
my thing.
affordable housing is important, but you don't create generational wealth with affordable housing. You create it with affordable home ownership.
Ownership.
And that's what I really want to push for. And, you know, I
Yeah.
keep hearing everyone saying affordable apartments. Somebody who was raised that way, you know, unless the government gives, unless you get a hand up and not a hand out, nothing changes generationally for people.
Right.
So, you know, I would really want to, you know, I just want to be mindful that whoever I choose sees that same picture too. And not, like you said, the Del Rey build. Because when you build, you're not leaving any, you know, you're not helping people leave a legacy and make lifestyle changes. That's all.
Yeah, I think housing like encompasses all of that, you know, Habitat for Humanity, all those, or it's part of affordable housing. I know
The CRA.
it's like real easy to think of affordable housing and think of Section 8 housing, one big block.
Because that's what people like me who live in it, that's what, when we hear that, that's what you think. You don't think home ownership, you just think, you know,
Right.
the government giving you 4 square
Afford the
walls.
rent.
Be thankful for what you get.
It's a
Right.
lie.
It is.
And I mean, and if we with, I completely agree with Commissioner Maliga in terms of, you know, that how different generations, you know, mom's got a house, she passes away, she passes on the house to the kids. That's the foothold into financial stability and financial for the legacy. And I think that is something that I know that the CRA, and I've been, you know, talking and working with the CRA, and, you know, that yes, we've had these, you know, apartment complexes, which I think are fine, but I believe that the CRA is now poised to accept the challenge that we have of having our residents become homeowners and having some of the CRA funds and the energy of the city help that along. Because that's, you know, it's not just us in the next 5 or 10 years. It's this city in 20 years. And where are we? What did we leave for those people now?
That
So,
legacy. Yeah, it's all about the legacy.
I hope all of us and everybody gets to hear Joe Minicozy from the CRA's
It was a great presentation.
educational thing, how government can really
Yep.
not be as fair and equitable as they say they are.
Correct.
You know, government isn't it's supposed to be.
It sounds to me like we really need a housing plan for this city, because I think I see all of these as like different pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Because we do need, you know, the people who are bagging your groceries, and we need the people who are, you know, wealthy business owners. We need a whole spectrum, and everybody needs a place to go. And some people aren't ready for home ownership and single family. There's only so much land that we have. So, I mean, we have to balance the needs. And I think having someone that can help us come to terms, talk about all these rich ideas, and have like a good, clear picture of the amount and different types of housing that we need, because it's not just one or the other.
right,
And there's a
no, it's gotta be a combination. It's gotta be all of it.
Yeah,
And yeah, because we don't talk about the middle,
right.
you know, talk about the,
But we'll have lots of those conversations to come. This is about the.
So what's the next step now,
We're gonna,
Mr. Collin?
I think we've got our 5. And I think it's time for the next step,
Which is,
I-
the interview, the people having them come out here.
is Mr. Basinger gonna notify them that they're our top finalists? And I know we talked about maybe over the next 4 weeks, while we're waiting for them to come visit, we might be able to reach out and do some phone interviews. But we wanted to make sure that they knew they were in our top 5 finalists before we started reaching out.
I will be notifying them tonight, so they'll know.
Okay. And we
So
have.
what's the next date then? What's the next step?
I think it was September,
26th, or no?
23rd was
it was the end of September,
Right,
And I'm gonna throw out.
23rd and 24th.
right.
A month.
is it worth adding Mr. Jordan to the list? I do see that he got 2 votes and not 3. So that's an argument against. But if we have some doubt that possibly some of the people on our 5 may not come because they rejected other places, is it worth adding a 6th to it?
Oh, I think we talked about an alternate.
Mhm.
So we could have these 5 plus him as an alternate. If Colin reaches out and he hears back from 2 people that they've moved on, then we can promote Patrick Jordan.
I would submit that. He's not my first choice, but I think he has some merits. And at this point, we're looking to talk to people.
Right.
Absolutely.
But I think a ticket from Escanaba into Florida is like $75,000. Joking.
I just want to make a comment about
14 plane rides.
previously, we were going in one direction. I don't want us to be a city of ping-ponging politically or growth-wise, back and forth, for and against. I would like to bring us to the center of the future rather than the extremes
I agree.
of one or the other.
That's exactly my thinking, and maybe my thinking is wrong, I don't know, but that's my thinking in somebody with the experience and knowledge of, like Mr. Ramon, I'm not wedded to him, but somebody with that sort of it, I think has the potential. He's done charrettes all over the place. The whole idea though is to pull a wide range of views, exactly what Commissioner Malega was talking about. Not just 15 people, but make an extra effort to hear from a wide range, make sure that all sorts of range of economic views and goals are brought into that. And then turn that, again, to answer your comment, Commissioner Robinson, that we don't want to flip back and forth, that one commission says this and the next commission says something totally different. I don't think that helps us. That's where you want to build a very solid set of codes that carry on and do help set the vision for 20 years from now or 30 years, whatever.
I'm not going to bring up major thoroughfare guidelines.
Okay.
I would just, with regards to Mr. Jordan, I don't see that he has any Florida experience. And I also see that, he's got, 2 years here, 3 years here, 3 years here. He doesn't have a long history anywhere, except where he is now, which is, since 17. There is some electric public, he's got that now, but it's, I don't know where Escanaba, Michigan is, but it
Escanaba.
spoken like a true native.
Escanaba.
I'm just, it's your pleasure, but I just think I would like to have someone that has some idea about Florida is such an odd place, and he's got no experience in Florida. So that's all.
And Mr. Hopkins has, he's from.
Yeah. He does. Oh, yeah, he does.
Pompano Beach, Assistant City Manager, I believe, for 5 years.
Yeah. And beyond that, and Georgia, which is also a southern. So, all right, so, okay, go ahead.
Do we have a date?
Are we gonna go with 5?
Right.
I guess we go with 5, and if he calls one of them and they say, yeah, I already got a job or I'm not interested, then we can come back and reassess.
Sure.
Is that clear enough direction, Colin? Do you need
So-
more?
We're going to go with the 5 that were selected, and then if one of them drops out, we're going to come back and discuss an alternate. Is that correct?
I would, yes. And at that point, I would like to open, not just up to me, if that's the case, I would like to open it up, to just more than Mr. Jordan.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Or focus on the 4 that are left.
Right. Sure, of course.
Hey, so I guess we've given clear direction. 5.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I think, once again, we've got a an interesting conversation going.
I-
We all have the best interest of the city at heart. There's no personal things going on here. And hopefully we will be able to get somebody out of this list and move forward.
Mayor, Thursday night, said thank you for setting that up, but it just demonstrated the importance of community input. And when we can do more workshops on the decisions we have to make, I look forward to those kind of conversations rather than agenda directed, you know.
Yeah, no,
The
I was
exchange of
very,
ideas is a wonderful thing, in my opinion.
it is. And then decisions are hopefully forthcoming. You know, when I hear the word, I have to be honest, when I hear Mr. Trias has done a lot of charrettes, my blood runs cold, having sat through more charrettes than I ever want to think about with nothing happening. We've had charrettes on the pool. We've had charrettes on this. We've had charrettes on that, and nothing's happened. So I'm a little skeptical of that concept, but just forgive me for that.
Well, I was going to go from charrette, avoiding a charrette, to having a workshop where we're responsible for listening and then deciding.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Charrettes are expensive. And often I have found to be sort of, you know,
An excuse.
yeah, you know, it's done to make everybody feel good. Oh, how long did we sit in the hatch on the charrette on the pool? And how many years ago was that? And that political football has been bandied about since that time with nothing happening. I believe that this is the commission that's going to have the gumption and the backbone to make a decision about that. And whoever our city manager is going to be, is going to obviously be a big part of that. You know, it's quite a big challenge that we just have to face. So that's my take on charrettes.
I love the word gumption.
And
I like gumption. We're a pretty gumption group. Yeah, we're a little fearless. We're a little bit of a fearless.
you mentioned the commission, the present commission, with the clear example of variety of ideas and visions.
Oh, yeah.
But as a commission, I think we will move together forward.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, you know, we've been here a few months now, and I feel like we've had some changes and differences, but we've been respectful and we have been logical for the most part. And we are accomplishing as we go. I'm, you know, for one, I'm happy with how things, we're not homogenous, but we can respect and exchange ideas. And I think that's what the citizens were looking for. And I hopefully we will continue to produce that.
Yes,
Greater good.
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
All right. So having said that, it is 6:59. I don't think we need a motion to adjourn.
We do need a motion, Madam Mayor. It's a
Do
special
need a
meeting.
motion. I'm going to learn this someday. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
That by
Motion to
Commissioner
adjourn.
Robinson, second by
Second, Stokes.
Stokes. All in favor?
Aye.
right.
Have a great night. Stay safe.
Sure
I'm
do.
quarantined. I am quarantined.
Feel better.
Yeah, I was very surprised by my positive test. So I'm going to do my best from home as long as I have to. And I thank everyone, including staff, for their patience and cooperation with this little particular nightmare I'm in.
Get
So
well.
thank you very much. Have a good night.